Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the Transformational Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Hyman, coming to you live. It is season 2, episode 2, but episode 1 of this series that we're going to call to Build Better. Our motto here at Transformational Coaching Podcast is we want to build better athletes, better people, better coaches, better parents, better everything. So this off-season series, and it'll fluctuate some, but the series that we're going to start right now is going to be Build Better. So today, episode 1 of the Build Better series is going to be building better hitters. And we'll talk about, some of the process that we do at Trinity, the things I believe in as a coach, that should be able to help our hitters, and coaches, parents, whoever listens to this, to walk away from saying, hey, okay, here's a successful program, how they've done things in the past. Let's look at what we're currently doing and seeing if this is something we can implement and add and see if you can do things a little bit better. I mean, these Build Better series are not me saying, hey, I'm Coach Hyman and we've had a, track record of success and our blueprint is the only one that works and our way is the only way that works. It's not. There's 8,000 different ways to skin a cat. Just like there's 8,000 different ways that you can help your guys become better hitters, or girls, if you're coaching softball, be better hitters, better pitchers, better outfielders, better whatever. I think for us, I'm very big on process. I think process trumps, results and all that, especially in a practice setting. I think if you're putting your guys and your players in situations every day where they're really having to be tight on the process because it's consistent and they know what to expect every day and they know what you expect, I think when they get really good at that, the results typically take care of themselves. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm always open to feedback. So if you disagree, you like it, whatever, let's talk about it. I'd be more than happy to share more stuff about what we do, why we do it, and all that. But what you can expect moving forward is once a week, we'll do this Build Better series. I know I've done a Build Better base running or Build Better base runners before. So, our next one might be something like that where we kind of go back over those things and tighten it up a little bit. I was very early in the podcasting career when we released that last one. So there's probably some things I'd like to tighten up on that. So we may do that next and just continue doing it. And again, just our target audience for this is players, coaches, and parents who, need ideas on how we can incorporate maybe something additional that maybe you're not currently doing, or maybe it is something you're currently doing, but you hear something here that maybe tightens that up a little bit, makes you a little bit better. So, I would say, kind of our history with this whole, the process we're going to talk about today, it's been about a 3-year process for me as a coach. So when I was at South, um, we always were looking at ways to be better from a hitting standpoint because we had to. I mean, you think about the landscape that we competed in. We basically competed in the SEC of high school baseball every year in our region. So you were going to see great pitchers every week, not just on Tuesdays, but on Fridays too. And to compete, you just had to be great hitters. Just it is what it is. You look at historically across our league, the teams that go far, they could hit. And they got better all year because they were facing just D1 arms, future Major League Baseball draft arms, D2 arms, JUCO. I mean, you're facing college arms every night. It just forces you to be better. So we constantly were having to go to the drawing board and say, okay, is what we're doing at practice, is this the best use of our time? Is it preparing our guys to be better, and all that stuff? So is it putting us in a position to go execute on Tuesdays and Fridays when we really need to? And I think what you find out over the course of those 3 years is we got it right year one as far as hammering on the things that we needed to do. And then, you know, after that, we're like, okay, well, now we got to tighten up some other things. So we implemented like pitching machines and stuff like that. And then maybe we implemented better BP structure and stuff like that. And in all, what it resulted in is us breaking about every single season school record offensively as a team over the course of the last 2 years. And of course, the results in the win-loss column spoke for themselves as well. So, I think as coaches, I may have already said this, but this isn't me saying this is the right way, the only way. This is, again, me saying, hey, if this is something that you're not crisp on and maybe you're on the fence about trying new things, here's some new things you can try. If you're a hitter who's maybe not getting the results that you want, it gives you an opportunity to kind of look at your process and say, okay, is there something I can be doing a little bit better? As a parent, you might pick up on something that we're talking about today as well. So, it's a constantly revolving door of finding things that work for you, replacing the things that don't with things that do, and then constantly checking yourself and challenging yourself as a coach to make sure that what we're still doing works. So I'm excited. You'll expect a once a week episode where we'll talk about something like this. And we'll get into that in a minute, but kind of the structure that we'll follow. I normally have a little bit of an intro. That was about a 5-minute intro on what to expect. So where we're at, where we're heading. And then I'll typically, like throughout the week, as I'm recording these things, I'll find one thing that kind of stood out to me on social media, baseball social media, baseball coaching social media, recruiting social media, whatever, and kind of talk about it. And there was something that hit me about a week ago, and I'll pull the tweet up. Anybody who knows who Travis Snyder is, I probably should have looked this up because I remember watching Travis Snyder play baseball, and he was good. He was a major leaguer, had a pretty good career. I'm not sure what he's doing now. I can look really quick. He's a 35-year-old man, husband and dad of 3, retired MLB guy. He's an investor, CEO, co-founder of 3A Athletics. So 55,000 followers on Twitter. I remember watching Travis play as I was growing up. So he's actually like 3 years older than me. So I don't know why I thought Travis Snyder played for the Mets. Let me look this up really quick. I should have looked this up earlier, but I didn't. Travis Snyder, Blue Jays, Pirates, Orioles. Okay. All right, I was way off. Anyways, I remember seeing the name. I remember watching him play. But he threw a tweet out on July 22nd. Got viewed about 250,000 times. And I thought it was great. So I want to talk about it. I made some notes on it to make sure we talked about it too. So here's the tweet. To all the high school players out there posting your stats after every weekend, I get it. We as the adults have failed you. We have led you to believe that this is the path to success, to get recruited, drafted, and or receive love from your friends and family. Let your game speak for itself. At the end of the day, no one is going to remember your stats. If you are good, they will find you. Continue to focus on all the hard work you put in this offseason and refining your routine that makes you the best version of yourself. I'm proud of all you kids out there working your tail off and chasing your dreams. Just be aware of where you look for that love. It comes with a price. It should come from deep inside of you, knowing that success was earned long before last weekend. Process over results. Tremendous tweet. Okay. And there's a couple things I want to just, as you break this down, he's 1000% right that as adults, we failed our kids in terms of what success is. Okay. And what you have to do to get recruited and what you have to do to have value to other people. Right. I tell our guys this all the time, like, and I truly mean this, like, their box score means nothing to me. It really doesn't, like, and I think Coach Gray, when I coached with him, this was like something big that he constantly preached was like, I mean, he didn't even have the login to the Game Changer stats, because he didn't care. Like, he was like, my eyes tell me what I need to see as far as performance goes. What I see at practice every day tells me that guys who are good with their process, the results are going to follow, and they normally do, right? So, he was a coach that luckily wasn't one of these guys who was like, yeah, I mean, he's 0 for his last 7 in the box score, but 4 of those 7 were line drives to the second base. Yeah. Anyways, my point is, as a society, we've gotten in a bad, and as a society, when I say parents, players, coaches, and Coach Steve Springer is probably the best at talking about this. Just, your worth has nothing to do with that 0 for 4 today, because not all 0 for 4s were created equal either. I mean, I've got kids that still to this day, like, they go line out to the shortstop a couple times, and you know, they're really pissed and upset. And that's fine to be pissed and upset, but if they're walking away from the game feeling like any less of a human because they're 0 for 2 after hitting 2 balls on the screws and just catching a bad break, like, they're we've screwed up. We're in a bad process. When we got guys and parents upset about hitting a hard ground ball to the second baseman to score a run in a game because their stats are going to say 0 for 1 there, we still have a problem. And so let's talk a little bit about that. So I made a couple notes here. Just process trumps results every time when we're talking about putting kids in a position to extend their playing careers. So, you think about this tweet, you see what it says, and you think about kind of the environment that we're in currently where, I think kids and parents are confused that, like, your videos of you on Twitter, where it's like, and it's always, you never see a kid post a video or a parent post a video. Little Johnny went 0 for 4 today with 3 lineouts and a 10 pitch at bat. You don't see it. What you do see is little Johnny went 3 for 4 today with two doubles and a single, and you'll see the 3 clippings of it. And yeah, one of them's a nice, well hit ball, but the other double was a error by the center fielder. The single was a bloop single over the second baseman's head. And things like that. And so there's this confusion that, like, those 3 videos of you going 3 for 4, which should have probably been 0 for 4 in the box score, like, has anything to do with you getting recruited or getting noticed or what. And I'm not a college coach, so I'm just speaking to you as another coach, another baseball guy, or whatever. But um, I kind of look at that stuff and chuckle a little bit, because I'm like, somebody's guided these people down this path of thinking that the only thing that matters is, like, the statistical side of what you're doing. And the problem with thinking like that is, you know, a bad process and a good box score, uh, in the eyes of a coach, cannot hide a bad process, right? But a really good process can hide a bad box score. And what I mean by that is, if you got a coach there watching you play, okay, and they see that 3 for 4, and you're feeling good because you're like, oh man, box score, I'm 3 to 4. But normally that 3 for 4 is going to be followed by, you dogged it in and out of the dugout in between innings, right? You didn't pick your teammates up. Um, you know, you didn't hustle to back up a bag. You were not doing your part in between innings as far as, like, maybe warming up properly, or maybe you dogged it down the line on that bat you got out on, or whatever. Those things stand out. Okay. They do. And so when I say, your box score doesn't trump, it doesn't hide a bad process, that's what I mean. But on the other side, a guy who's committed to his process, okay, the dude who busts it out of the box every time, the dude who hits the F9 but is trying to make it to second base before the right fielder catches it, the dude who strikes out on a ball in the dirt but busts ass down the line, the guy who lines out to the shortstop and instead of throwing something, you know, sprints back to the dugout. Those things stand out. So yeah, their box score may say 0 for 4, but to anybody watching, they're like, that dude's destined for success because he does all the little things right within his process. And when you do that day after day after day, you're going to put yourself in a really good spot. So that was one of the points I wanted to make about that. The next thing, I probably have a bad habit as a high school coach of blaming parents for a lot of stuff. And a lot of times parents end up being the bad guy about certain aspects of things. And I have to check myself on that because I have to remind myself that not every program, not everybody does things the way that we do things, right? And I think this is a good lesson for other people who fall into the habit of sometimes like blaming the parent for why a kid does what they do. Um, Most parents don't have the right information, right? At South, I always bragged about the fact that, and not bragged about, but something I was always proud about with our parents there is we never fought the battle over the summer of losing our kids to travel organizations from Memorial Day to the middle of July. And the reason we didn't is because we set the expectation with our parents on how our program was going to be run and the things that we were going to do year in and year out for our kids to make sure that they got seen, they got recruited, coaches were aware of them, and all that. Um, so I was proud about that. And so I come to a new place where, for the most part, our parents are also pretty bought in on that. Hey, I think, again, you look at what we did at Trinity this summer, we had two teams, first time ever. Um, no complaints on our younger team. They didn't win a game. They didn't. But we had a big parents meeting, kind of set the expectation for, hey, like this is part of the process. These kids are probably gonna get drilled this summer, and it's okay. It's okay. Our older guys, we had people show up to play for our summer team this year that haven't played their whole high school career. That's huge. Okay, it's people getting bought in on what we're trying to do. But part of that, I think, is because of the success we had at our previous stop, people are like, hey, I'm more likely to give these guys the benefit of the doubt and give this process they talk about a shot. Um, I see a lot of coaches, high school coaches, who are constantly crapping on the travel circuit. I crap on the travel circuit sometimes too, but I do it for a different reason. I do it because I know what value we bring to our players and our parents if they will just show up and be present. Okay. There are other high school coaches and guys I know that they crap on the travel circuit, but I look at what they do in the summer, look at what they do throughout the year, and the truth is they don't pull their weight. And that's why their parents and players are forced to do other things throughout the year. Um, so for that guy, that coach, you know, you got to make sure your kitchen's clean before you start trashing people like that. Are you doing your part to make sure you're creating an environment where your parents are educated, they know what you're doing. If anybody asks and say, hey, no, my son doesn't play this because in the fall my coaches do this. In the spring, my coaches do this. Every year they do X, Y, and Z to make sure that if Johnny can play college baseball, they're doing their part. They're pulling their weight. Um, and I know a lot of guys who don't do it, but they're the first to complain about, man, I can't have a summer team this year because I don't have enough kids to play. That's a you problem. It really is. That's a If I get to that point in my coaching career where our kids aren't showing up to play for us in the summer, it means I'm not fulfilling my duties. Because outside of a few kids, our guys were present this summer. And the expectation moving forward is they will continue to be present during the time that we're doing stuff because they don't need all that other stuff to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. So, as a coach, if your numbers are dwindling, you know, it might be a you thing. It truly might. And the other thing I think, you talk about, like, I'm getting long winded on this tweet, but when we talk about everybody pulling their weight, like part of that is just a willingness to, as a parent, to take the information your coach is giving you regarding the kid, as a player to take the information coach is giving you, and as a coach being willing to give that information. Nobody likes having tough conversations anymore. It's like taboo and something that we're scared to do. Um when you care about your guys care about you, it's okay to have tough conversations. I tell our kids all the time, do your parents love you? Yes. Do your parents have tough conversations with you? Absolutely. Does it mean they love you any less? No. Okay. So if that's true, and we say we care about our kids the same way we care about our kids at home, we love them, we care about them, we want to be successful, we're going to do everything we can to help them be successful. We're positive role models in their life. We do all those things. Then why is it that we can't have that open conversation about where this kid's at in their development? I inherited at Trinity 9 seniors. Okay. And I have some kids who could play college baseball, could graduate and play college baseball. But the truth is, in our senior class, they don't have D1 guys right now. And that's not a knock on them. It's just where we are in the process. Okay. But do I have guys who can play college baseball? Absolutely. Am I going to do everything, me, Coach Allison, Coach Bowie, all our coaches, are we going to do everything we can to get those guys in front of the right people at the right level to where they can extend their careers? Yeah, no doubt about it. But it's going to take some parents being willing to say, hey, maybe my kid's not, you know, Duke University material right this second. Maybe he's not, University of Florida material right this second, but he is good enough to be in the 3% of guys who get a chance to play college baseball. And what he parlays that into is going to be on him and his development and how hard he works. Okay, so that's kind of, I think part of this is like, just you talk about this tweet and part of that process, part of it is like an openness and a willingness of everybody involved to be like, hey, okay, Johnny's not a Division I. He's not an SEC baseball player right now. There's some tools there, but it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take him getting an opportunity to play at the next level and parlay it into something bigger if that's going to happen. Okay. I will say the one thing I did disagree with Travis Snyder's tweet was, and I get tired of, I do hear this a lot. Let your game speak for itself. At the end of the day, no one is going to remember your stats. If you are good, they will find you. So I totally fundamentally disagree with that. If you are good, they will find you. And you think about like these showcase tournaments, these perfect game events, all this other stuff, the World Wood Bats, all that stuff. Those are all good things. I'm not saying they're a bad thing. I think over the years they've become a money grab because they still, in my opinion, are like buying a lottery ticket. You have to buy the right lottery ticket at the right time. You have to be right place, right time, to get the one that wins the big prize. Same thing with these showcase events. Like you have to be at the right game at the right time, doing the right things for anybody to notice you because they're not there to see you. Okay. There's a list of guys that they're there to see. And if you happen to be somebody that catches their eye while you're there, that's good. But it's still a flip of the coin on, okay, maybe you were supposed to play the mole crickets at 10:30 and that coach that you really want to go to school and play for him, he was going to be there, but the car broke down when he was coming out of the driveway, so now he's not going to be there to see Timmy, who he was there to see pitch. So now he's going to have to come back next week, and next week you're going to be in Greensboro, but the guy that they're there to see is going to be in Atlanta. You see how that works? Okay, so being a upper echelon top athlete, all that stuff, like that's great. And they will find you if you're in that top 1%. But the majority of the other 99% of guys, they're not just going to stumble on you. Okay. So what can we do to make sure that people know who you are? People are aware that, hey, in my town, we think about right here in Florence, South Carolina, we've got Francis Marion University, a great Division II baseball program. We've got Florence Arlington Tech, which is one of the top junior colleges in the country. Okay. Just down the road, you got Coker University, a great D2. You've got USC Sumter, another great JUCO, coached by a legend, right? Towards the coast, you got Coastal Carolina, you got Charleston Southern, you got College of Charleston, you got USC, Clemson. You got in our school, I think it's like 27 maybe not quite 27. It's at least in the 20s, though, as far as opportunities to play baseball. Morris, Claflin, just a lot of different stuffs at a bunch of different levels. Okay. And in the bordering states, within an hour and a half drive, there's plenty of other programs. Okay. So, what's a better solution to just showing up on a random Saturday and Sunday to play in, this event? I mean, like, guys, if you're an uncommitted senior, you should be going to every camp in the fall that a school that you're interested in is offering. Period. If you're a younger guy, even older guys, like, you should be going to fall and spring showcases for Diamond Prospects and PBR. Should be playing in things like the Future Games and the Palmetto Games and all that other stuff. Um, those are better uses of your time, in my opinion, for 90% of people than traveling all up and down the East Coast, paying $2,576 a summer to play for some team that you get to play at Lake Point and you get to go to these other places. And I'm not crapping on that because it's a great experience. Like, one thing you do get by playing showcase baseball, you get to travel all over the place as a family, as a team. You get to play in great venues, great facilities, against pretty good competition. I'm not crapping on that. I'm just saying it's not the only way, and I think that parents and players could be a little more efficient with the things that we're doing that are probably a better process and are less about, okay, I showed up to this ballpark on this Saturday and I went 4 for 4 and it was the right 4 for 4. And on top of it, I hustled on and off the field. I stretched a single into a hustle double. I checked all the boxes for every college coach that was there in attendance to where he walked away saying, hey, that dude's a dude we need to follow. So, anyways, really long intro there to Travis Snyder's tweet. But that's everything that I think about that. So, hopefully that made sense. So I talked about that a little bit longer than I wanted to. So let's jump into building better hitters this fall. Okay. So for us in SCISA, South Carolina Independent School Association, it's a little bit different than what we got to do in the high school league. Okay. And I still have to get all the rules for this and everything over the next week or so to make sure that we're doing everything within the rules. So we get to start with our dudes July 29th, which is actually, that was like yesterday. Anyways, so we get to do that. And you get to do 4-man workouts basically from now until January. South Carolina High School League, you had 2 open seasons. You could do practice everybody who's interested in playing baseball from like October 1st to October 31st, and you could do it again in January. I personally like that better. But you can lift weights for your guys' condition and all that all year round. So we're definitely doing that. We're lifting 2 times a week right now, and we're going to start our 4-man workouts and throwing program and all that in the middle of August, so in a couple weeks. But the point is, like, being first-year head coaches, we got an opportunity to see over the summer what our guys did well and what they need work on. So we've got a nice blueprint for how we're going to execute and get better and do things we need to do. So we're going to be ready to go in the fall. So we'll talk about the things that we're going to be doing from a BP standpoint to make sure that we're building on these skills. But a couple things you need to know about me, just from a hitting standpoint and kind of my philosophy and the game in general, to understand how I came to this point for why I believe what I believe and why we work at the things that we work on. So I'm a firm believer in really 4 things. Okay. And the first one is great timing beats great mechanics. Every time, if you have both and one additional skill, you can be elite. But if I'm given the choice, I prefer the kid who's got great timing over the kid who has great mechanics. Because mechanics, in my opinion, can be worked. It can be drilled in a very short period of time. You're talking like 2 or 3 sessions of working with a kid. Mechanically, they can be where they need to be. The question is, do they put the work in and get the swings in to make that you tightening the mechanics up repeatable, and that's on them. But that can be worked on at any given time. We can give a player 3 tweaks on Monday and they go hit 200 balls on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And as long as they're repeating mechanics, that's going to become normal. Mechanics can become pretty crisp. Okay. timing is hard to develop because there's a lot of different parts in timing, right? And it's always changing. So it's hard to consistently improve it. So, whereas the mechanics are pretty consistent, there's a few things that every great hitter does the same, basically. They may, hands may be a little higher, a little lower, whatever, but they all get to the same spot and all that. Timing's not as natural. Not everybody has that rhythm you need to be on time. A lot of people don't understand timing because timing's everything from when you start to when your front heel comes down to start the lower half to where we make impact with the baseball. So the best hitters I've ever coached were great from a timing standpoint. They weren't necessarily great from a mechanical standpoint. They ended up being pretty good mechanically, but timing trumps everything. And that'll the reason that's important, you'll kind of see as we get into this, some of the things that I believe are important in the way we structure our BP that really work on timing. So the second thing is great pitch recognition. Great pitch recognition is key. We have to be able to recognize pitches we can drive and also recognize pitches we can do the job on. And that beats great mechanics as well. Okay. Just having a good solid understanding of the situation, what the situation dictates, what I'm expected to do here, and what pitches can help me get there. So examples of that would be, okay, I got a runner on second base with no outs. Okay. And for whatever reason, I'm not bunting there. Okay. If I want to move that guy over, I'm okay with hitting a ground ball to the second baseman. So how many guys do we see that step into the box and they take the first pitch because it's an outside fastball? Well, if I understand my job and I'm good at recognizing outside pitches, then I should be looking for that because that's really a successful at bat for me is, hey, success in this situation, this at bat dictates that I find a way to move this guy over. So why would I be trying to pull a, inside pitch, which I can pull, right to the shortstop and not get the job done? When on that first pitch, I could be looking away there and be prepared that that's actually a pretty good pitch given the situation. I recognize that early and go ahead and let it rip there. So that's an instance, drawn in infield, runner on third, less than 2 outs. Okay. I either got to hit a ground ball through the infield or I got to get a sac fly. That's what the situation dictates. So I'm okay looking up in the zone there. Okay. I'm okay hitting a hanger early in the count, right? But that all is pitch recognition, understanding, locking in on a pitch in a zone and being able to attack it, being on time, being able to swing at pitches we can drive. Okay. And then the final thing, this is kind of 2 points. It's four. I said 4 points, but really 3 and 4 kind of go together. As coaches, we have to normalize situations we expect our kids to execute on during the games, right? When the pressure's high and the stakes are high. Okay. We practice more than we play. Therefore, we have to incorporate these things into practice daily. You look at major leaguers who they get that. I don't know how many at bats they get in a spring or in a season. 1,000? I can't remember. Let's just assume it's 1,000. They're hitting with runners in scoring position 25% of the time, 30% of the time. I don't know what it is, but it's not 100% of the time, right? So if we're waiting for the game to dictate when we hit with runners in scoring position, it's never going to become normal, okay? You see guy, they hit, and the stat pops up. This season, so-and-so, with bases loaded, they're hitting 220, or 200. They're 2 for 10. So in the Major League season, they did it 10 times out of 1,000 at bats. If we're waiting until the game to dictate when we practice that, we're not going to be prepared for it. Okay. So you got to incorporate these things daily. You'll see in our BP structure that they kind of take all those things and they put them into practice every single day to make sure that our kids are prepared for that. And then the fourth thing, which again, this kind of goes with this third, the idea of normalizing these situations. My main goal as a coach, whether I'm a hitting coach, head coach, assistant coach, whatever, my main goal is to shift my guys' mindset off of me, my stats, my emotions, my everything, anything that has my or I in it, and shift it on to we. Okay. What can I do right now on this pitch, this moment, to help get us closer to getting a win? What can I do? What does the situation call for? What can I do to help us? Not what can the game do to help me? Okay. What can I do right now to make my batting average go up? What can I do right now to get a hit? What can I do right now to hit a home run, get an RBI, make my stats look better? It's not about that. Okay. We have to shift from me to we. What can I do right now to help the team? Steve Springer's big on that. He believes that you step into the box with a lot of confidence every time, because if you're not stepping into the box with confidence, you've already lost. You have to have a tangible goal of hitting the baseball hard somewhere. Hits are a bonus. And everything you do right now needs to be helping your team get closer to winning the game. That's it. It has nothing to do with your batting average, your feelings, your stats, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. What can I do right now to move us closer to winning a game? Get an RBI, work the count, move a runner, whatever. All that stuff starts with what we do in BP every day. And that's what we're going to talk about today is building better hitters this fall and in the spring through better BP structure. Okay. I threw a tweet out about that a couple weeks ago as well. So if you want the too long, didn't read, didn't listen version of what I'm about to say right now, you can find that on the Twitter page at Brandon M. Hyman. I think the tweet was like back on July 21st or something like that. So let's talk about what we believe is great BP structure. Okay. And there's three things that we have to these are vital to, working on these things every day. And I'll break them down after I give you the three, but, you got to be willing to do these three things. So you got to put an emphasis on hitting velo. Okay. That's number one. You have to have runners on base when you're doing your BP rounds. That's number two. And number three is your rounds have to be structured and they got to be built around the moments in the game we have to execute on to win. Okay. Those are three things that are vital to what we're trying to do. If we want to be better hitters, if we want to be better at coaching hitters, we have to take care of those three things before the first pitch is even thrown. Okay. And I'll break down those three. Okay, coach, what's your solution on how we hit velo every single day? It's not throwing a guy up on the mound and taking live reps off of a pitcher. That's not it. Okay. We believe and we've tested this and it works. Okay. The only way you're going to replicate velo is to get a 3-wheel pitching machine. That's it. I mean, the weapon of choice we always used at South was your junior hack attack. Currently, we use the big hack attack at Trinity because it's what we have. But there's also I think it's called a spin ball or a spin wheel. It's a 3-wheel pitching machine as well. I'm actually considering getting that because I like the knobs on that better because you can actually control spin rate a little bit better. It looks to be a little bit better machine, and that's no knock on the hack. But I'm seriously considering that being the purchase we make here in the fall for our program. But you got to hit velo every day. The only way to do it's going to be with a 3-wheel pitching machine. If you can't hit good fastballs, you can't be a good hitting team. I talk about what we did at South and even what we did this summer for Trinity. Okay, our best at bats came against guys that were some of the harder throwers in our league because throughout this summer, we made hitting velo normal. We set the machine up at 45 to 50 feet. We replicate an 85 mile per hour fastball. If you're a coach, how do I replicate an 85 mile per hour fastball, 82 mile per hour fastball? Man, there's charts all over the internet from dudes way smarter than me who've been doing this process way longer than I've been doing. Literally set your left knob on this, your right knob on this, your bottom knob on this. Okay, put the ball in this way and set it at this feet. If you do that, you'll get the equivalent of X amount of miles per hour. Okay. It's crucial. At South, we broke every single season offensive record in school history, 40 years of history in the last 2 years, and we not one time did we throw BP. Not one time. Now, there were times when we had to do things like, front toss, times when you have to do offset BP, when you're working on stuff. You shouldn't totally eliminate those things, but my point is the majority of your time hitting should be spent hitting off that machine, hitting velo. And here's a little thing, coaches. You guys who are not bought in on the pitching machine yet, your guys are going to hate it to begin with. Okay, I've talked about Wyatt Williams a lot on this podcast. Okay, Wyatt Williams, I think, went like 10 days without making hard contact in the fall last year. Off the pitching machine. I hate hitting off the pitching machine. I can't hit off the pitching machine. Most of your guys, 90% of your dudes are going to struggle and they're going to say, I hate hitting off the pitching machine. I can't hit off the pitching machine. And in that moment, as a coach, you're going to have to make a decision. Either A, you're going to let them win that battle, or B, you're going to stick with the process. I'll tell you how we made it through that because we struggled early on. Me and Coach Rhodes, Coach Gray, Coach Allison, we had like 2 days in the fall of just really bad BP. And my thought was, let's stick with the velo. They're going through growing pains, whatever. The problem is early on, you guys who struggle, they're going to be worried, are my mechanics jacked? Okay, so I'm going to be trying to change stuff. So what we did was day 3, we sat them all down and said, the pitching machine's not going anywhere, but we're going to give you 1 day of feel-good BP off this machine, meaning you're going to get the 5.56 version, not the 7.710. Okay? I'm just going to throw it in there. And we had a great day of BP. They're blistering the baseball all over the place. And to them, it said, I don't have a mechanical problem. I have a timing issue. Okay? And that was huge. So that would be my advice if your guys are struggling. The advice would not be order the machines, use it for 2 days, and they struggle, so you get rid of the machines. No. I would be willing to. There's a reason why Division I programs all across the country, Major League Baseball programs, everybody uses 3-wheel pitching machines. It's because it works. It replicates velo. It's the only way to make velo normal. If you want your guys to just feel good, okay, but then struggle, I would rather feel like shit during practice early on than feel like trash in the game because we can't hit 87 on the black. It's already hard enough to hit 87 when you see it once every week, right? Why not let them see 85 every day and then that 87 doesn't look too bad? Okay. Eliminate the feel good coach pitch BP. That's number 1 vital thing. Okay. Number 2, base runners on base every round. Okay. So when we hit on the field in the spring and in the fall, we are also using that time to get our base runners really, really good. Okay. So back to the original thing that I said about, if we're waiting for game situations to dictate when we work on certain things, you're not going to work on critical things enough. Okay. This past spring, we scored from first base on balls in the gap more than we've ever scored in my entire life as a coach. Okay. And the only thing that shifted was we put our focus on base running every single day. It wasn't 5 minutes at the beginning of practice and 5 minutes at the end. There was a station every single day working on the things that we were working in our rounds. And we became better hitters, better base runners and better hitters because of it. Because there's 2 things that are really working for you when you've got base runners on base and you have a coach who knows what they're doing, walking them through each round, okay? And that's 1, your hitters become, not only are they getting really good at hitting velo, they're also getting really good at hitting with guys moving, okay? They're starting to see like, okay, it's not, all right, that's what it looks like when a guy gets a good break when I see a pitch coming out of the hand. Okay. It doesn't become, there's no shock factor when I'm hitting and I see that guy coming out of my peripherals when the guy's throwing 87 on the mound. It's like, okay, I see this every day. I see runners and move. When I'm doing a hit and run round, I don't have that moment where I glance and I lose my soft and hard focus on the pitcher because I see a guy moving. Okay. It becomes normal. And that's crucial. Okay. So from a hitter's standpoint, it's key that they get comfortable hitting with guys moving. Okay. From a runner's standpoint, it is imperative that they get comfortable running while a guy is swinging, while they get comfortable on a hit and run, giving me 2 hard breaks and then seeing impact, and on a swing and miss, still being able to never lose speed and make it a second. Or they see impact and they start getting a feel for, okay, that's what a ball in the gap looks like. Okay, that's what a ball that I can go first or third on looks like. Okay, that's a fly ball to left. Now I know, okay, where I need to be as far as my zones go on fly balls to make sure I can get back on time. These are crucial things, man. I swear we were the best base running team outside of North Myrtle Beach that we played this year. And the amount of extra runs you will generate by having runners on base during BP, it's at least 40 runs a year. I promise. So if you're not doing it, you need to consider. I'm very base running is my thing. Okay, that is like outfield play and base running. I feel like I can go toe to toe with anybody in this country on how to build great base runners, how to build great outfielders. I'm pretty good. I feel like I'm pretty good from a hitting standpoint too. But my point is, like, I know the value of an extra 90 feet, and your guys will understand the value of an extra 90 feet because you put them in these situations every single day. Okay, so that's number 2. Having your base runners on base, you got to do it. Okay. And all we would do is if we had a group in the cage, group on the field, group shagging, instead of having 2 groups shagging, or if you had field or shagging, cage, field, bunting on the practice infield, you just have whatever you have, you add one more group to it. I mean, you only need like 3 dudes in each group for it to be worthwhile, if that makes sense. But it's worth doing, not just one day a week, every single freaking day, man. Like our Trinity guys, they haven't seen it yet, but when we get into the fall and spring, we will not take live BP without runners on base. Okay, and those guys move around as the situations change, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the third thing is our rounds have to be structured and built around the moments in the game we have to execute on. So the round structure that I pull your pen and pad out, because this is these are the round structures that are vital to us. And I'll explain each round and what we do. Okay. So we have round 1 is a small ball round. Round 2 is a special teams round. Round 3 is a 2-strike approach round. Round 4 is a plus counts round. And round 5 is a get 'em in round. Okay. So round 1, small ball. Round 2, special teams. Round 3, 2-strike approach. Round 4, plus counts. Round 5, get 'em in round. Okay. And we'll talk about each of those here. I think for me, when we start talking about, we get about 2 hours. We actually get a practice done in about 2 hours every day. So we'll start at, they'll start at 4, stretching and throwing. Normally 20 minutes to do all that. And then by 6:20, 6:30, we're gone. Okay. So I think a lot of people worry about, oh man, if y'all go through 5 rounds of BP, everybody start worrying about the clock. Okay, man, we got 20 kids out here, and if we do 5 rounds, that's blah, blah. It's another reason why the pitching machine is key, right? Because it allows you to get a lot done in a little bit of time. But coaches, toss the let it rip rounds out, man. The 2, all right, give me 2 sack bunts. All right, bam. Okay. All right, 5 swings, bam. All right, next round, 5 swings, bam. Next round. All right, if you're doing stuff like that, there's no reason in being upset with your guys when you're in game and they can't execute the situations, because we're not putting them in situations to be successful in practice to where it becomes normal. Okay. Our whole job is to make really unnatural things become normal. And the only way to do that is to drill it enough to where it becomes normal. Okay. The other point I want to make about the round structure is we talk about me-centric versus we-centric. Okay. All those rounds are about executing for the team. Okay. That's how we go from, when you put an importance, I don't know how many days a year we practice, but when you place an emphasis for, on the first round, it's nothing but the different types of bunts and small ball and all that. none of which is really helping them as a from a statistical like recruiting monster standpoint. But you're making them do it every day. What you're saying is the first two things that we do are all about execution for your teammates, and that's why we do it. I mean, you look at our first round, our small ball round. I'll break that down in a second. And then our second round is our special teams round. That is all about I need 100% execution from you to get the job done for your teammates. You can't let this guy out to dry here. Okay. And as we go through our round, you'll see like round 5, we finish it up with, get him in round. Like you have to do whatever is necessary to get that dude in, to not let that guy down. It doesn't have to be sexy. Okay. But anyways, I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Um, Everything we do is we centric. Okay. So let's talk about each individual round and kind of what that looks like. So our small ball round is going to be where we work on our sacks, our drags, our pushes, and our squeezes. Okay, and you don't have to do every single one every day. I just think we also end our days with a bunt circuit, which works on bunting, location, and runners seeing balls off the bat and seeing it down. Okay, but so I mean, some coaches like some days we would do, all right, you got sack to the third base side, sack to the first base side. All right, we got a push bunt, we got a drag bunt, we got a squeeze, something like that. Some days it would be, hey, we're working all sacks here or all drags or whatever. And that's all up to you. I would probably challenge you to probably start small early, like really put an emphasis on the fundamentals of a good sack bunt with a massive emphasis on location. Okay. Um, Nothing back to the pitcher, everything down the lines. Okay. And then when you start getting really good at that, then, okay, now let's incorporate, all right, the drag and the drag and squeeze. And the whole time you're doing this, whatever you're doing, you got your base runners out there, right? So for us, this is the one round where, like, if we're doing sack bunts and I've got 3 guys in a group, I'm going to take my base running group and we're going to do 3 deep, right? So 3 deep at first base. And as the ball is dropped into the machine, we're going to secondary, see ball down, go. And I want them, it's imperative our first 3 steps are extremely hard with intent to beat a play at second base. And when you get really good at it, it's almost like synchronized diving. Like you'll see, like together, they're in a straight line. It's like secondary, go, or secondary, miss, back, and it's really cool. And again, we didn't get thrown out at second base not one time this year on a sack bunt, bad sack bunt. So that tells me what we were doing was working. And then if you were working on squeezes, whether it's a safety or a straight up squeeze, you move them over to third base, and they're if it's a safety squeeze, they're gonna wait till impact and go. If it's a normal squeeze, they're gonna be driving down the line on the pitch. Again, what's the benefit to your runners and your hitters there? Our runners get in the habit of batter, pitcher, ball, like they see all that live, and your hitter, they're getting in the habit of. I mean, you guys who are listeners who played the game, the pressure that comes with when your teammates barreling down the third baseline and there's a pitch coming in and you got to get it down. Okay, so why not wait till the bottom of the 7th of the region champion? Like, let's not wait till the bottom of the 7th of the region championship game for them to feel that pressure. Let's do it at practice every single day, or at least twice a week with the squeeze aspect of it, to where you put something on the line. And if they execute, great. If they don't, there's some type of punishment. Because in game the punishment is you just left your dude out to dry and now he's out, right? So they have to feel some of that as well, which is good. So for us, small ball for us is non-negotiable. We believe that that's a 100% execution round, especially if you're just doing sack bunts. When we do our bunt circuit, we believe 90% is what we ask for on that, because it's got to be, you got to get it down, you got to do the job. So that's your small ball round. Okay, so round 2 is going to be your special teams round, and so this is where we're going to incorporate your hit and runs, your run and hits, your slashes, your fake slash hit and run, and things like that. So the I love this one from a base running standpoint because, like, on your hit and runs, it's just you're going to go first or third on these a lot if you guys get really good at understanding what balls they can go first or third on. And so I think that's important. The other thing is for your runners, it helps normalize seeing impact. So, you'll see this happen a lot on the hit if you're working hit and runs on the special teams round. They get their normal lead, 12-foot lead. They're going on the drop. So the minutes drop into the chute. Okay, and a lot of times, especially early on, you'll see your guys. They'll hear impact and they'll be looking for the baseball. Great coachable moment for, like, our goal is within the first two strides, we want to see impact while we're still moving. And by the end of all this, what your guys are going to be really good at is they see impact. I tell them, see impact, make sure you see impact, let's see impact. And they'll screw it up every once in a while, but they see impact. And then that's going to dictate how they move around the bases. We have a zone system for fly balls. So if I see impact and it's fly ball to right, I'm going to chest up to the play. All right, and find my zone. Fly ball to right, I'm going to be moving back to zone 1, closing back as the play's coming closer to closing out. If it's fly ball to right, I'm extending all the way out to the end, or fly ball to left, I'm extending all the way out to the end of zone 3. When the catch is completed, I'm turning around and spraying back to the back. So just really good stuff there. And then I think for your hitters, it's important because they kind of start, again, you start getting comfortable hitting with guys moving, which is vital. And then on top of that, you also are going to it gives them an opportunity to really, like, replicate, like, what they have to do with, like, a slash and a hit and run. Like, okay, if I want to hit the ball on the ground here, here's kind of what I have to do. Okay, and then the whole slash idea is, like, not exactly a comfortable thing if you're asking them to do it in game for the first time. But if you ask them 5 round, I got 5 rounds of or not 5 rounds, I got 1 round of 5 of nothing but slashes. Okay, it gets real easy to kind of, here, and that becomes real normal. So, if you say, why do you call it special teams round? I can't remember who said this, but this was great. Whoever said it, it says special teams, is what you're doing to generate runs when you're not getting hits. Okay. I think that's what it was. Something along those lines. That was the gist of what he said. And by the way, Liquid Death, they're going to IPO in 2024. Good stuff. On that big sparkling water kick right now. But anyways, so the slash, the things like that. So the reason we work on that every day is because guess what? When you're facing college pitchers every single week, you got to be good at generating runs, right? Because not all those dudes are going to give up, 7 hits today. They might give up 3. So what are you doing to get your guys around the bases and put them in situations where we can put pressure on the pitcher, pressure on the defense to score runs? We won a lot of 2-1 baseball games, 3-1 baseball games a couple years ago. And it was all because of what we were doing from a special team standpoint to get our dudes them in positions where they could generate offense when we weren't necessarily getting hits, which is huge. So that's our special teams. And I didn't talk about this, but numbers wise, we normally do five pitches. We either do 5 swings or 5 pitches depending on the round. And I'll talk about it in a second. But your first 2 rounds are going to be 5 pitches, because again we're wanting the execution to be 100%. So in a hit and run, you're swinging at anything there to try to put the ball on the ground. So we can't just take a pitch there. If they do take a pitch, it's a coachable moment, but they don't get 5. They're not going to get more than 5 pitches to execute. For the sack bunch, you're not going to get more than 5 pitches to execute. Like, you can't go up there and foul off 3 bunts and then think you're going to get 5 more. It's not how that works. But anyways, all right, so round 3 is going to be your 2-strike approach round. For runners, we go ahead and move them to second base on this round, and they're going to treat the 2-strike approach round every batted ball as if it's a 2-out ball in play. So they're going to get a good 2-out lead. They're going to work into the drop, because we're real big on having our feet moving as we work through a pitcher's routine, and they're going to take good 2-out deep, good depth, good secondary. As soon as the ball's hit, we're treating it like 2 outs and we're trying to go second to home. Okay, and then just kind of cycle through that. As hitters, there's two things that we're looking for here. Well, three things really. We want a foul ball, force them to throw another pitch. We want a barrel. Okay, foul ball or barrel. The only time we ding somebody on this, if you swing and miss, you take a strike. Okay, and we're looking for dudes to just get in the habit of competing. Everybody has different approaches on what a 2-strike approach should look like. I got in a, sometimes you get on Twitter and you throw things out there and it ends up being, like this battle of who's right and who's wrong. I talked about, what are your non-negotiables with a 2-strike approach? And I got crucified because I felt like with 2 strikes, our approach is we spread out, we get on the plate, we choke up, and we bring our hands into our body. And everybody's like, you can't choke up. They swing the bat 100 times without choking. So I'm like, okay, whatever. The feel is different, but is what it is. Like, we didn't strike out a lot. So I think our way worked for our guys. So, we expect our kids to make the mechanical shift when we get to round 3. We expect get on the plate, shorten the bat a little bit, tuck the hands into the body some, and we're just trying to make the pitcher throw another pitch or put the ball in play. And at all times, we're competing. Just hard, we're going to compete. No swings and misses. We're going to focus on making the D make a play or the pitcher throw another pitch. That's it. And it's amazing to me how many kids, when we go into the 2-strike approach round, when we started implementing, I was like, holy crap, man, we've got kids who hit better from a 2-strike approach standpoint than they do just when they're up there letting it rip. And I think the thing for me, I kind of compared it to like if you're up there on the tee box trying to hit it 300 with your driver out of control and everything else, you're not going to because you're not going to hit it square. When they changed and shifted that 2-strike approach round, it forced them to shorten up, be different, and again, understanding what success looks like. We're not with 2 strikes. Hey, if you get a hit, that's a bonus, but we're not asking to get a hit. The only thing I ask our dudes to do when they get 2 strikes is outside of the mechanical change is we should compete our ass off. We got to be a better competitor than the dude 60 feet, 6 inches away from us. And the second thing is just make the defense make a play. Do I prefer that play to be a play on the ground where they got to field it and throw it and catch it? Yeah, I do. But if you hit a fly ball somewhere, I'm okay with it too because, look, we made them make a play. And that's all I care about there. That's all we care about as coaches. So, that's that. And that's how we measure success there. And, I didn't say this earlier, but we will chart this stuff too. So it gives us an opportunity to kind of have some tangibles that, hey, here's what our percentage is as a team. Here's what your percentage is as an individual. It gives us some things that we might need to work on from a situational standpoint to make sure we're in a good spot. So, all right, anyways, round 4, plus counts. And as we're going through these, small ball, special teams, 2-strike approach, plus counts, to get them in round, like think about like verbalizing and showing your guys what success is. I would be remiss if I didn't remind you that like the whole purpose of all this is, helping our guys small ball around, helping them understand, hey, success here is moving the guy over so we can get the guy in. You are vital to moving him over so as a team we can get him in. Small special teams round, hey, you're vital to putting pressure on the pitcher, catcher, and defense here so we can get that guy over. Okay? If you get a hit, it's a bonus. 2-strike approach round. That's 2-strike approach rounds are very important in a game because high school pitchers are going to make mistakes at some point. Okay. How many times you see it? 7, 8, 9, 10 pitch at bat, foul off, foul off, foul off. And then that 10th one is just a missile and a scud in the gap somewhere because they just, the whole time, every time you foul one off, your confidence is going up that, hey, I got a shot. Hey, I got a shot. Hey, I got a shot. Every extra pitch that's thrown sways the scale in your favor. So when you say, dude, the only thing I'm asking you to do here is to compete and make the defense make a play for the guy, it's like, okay, he's not asking for a double in the gap. Hell, I can do that. There's like 12 different things I can do right here to have success. So make sure you're drilling home to your guys or girls if you're softball. what success looks like and why it's important. Two-strike approach, extremely important, man, especially got a good pitcher on the mound. Okay, any chance we get to, get him deeper in the game, get his pitch count up, that's a plus, man. That's a plus. You get a guy in the fifth inning, he's at 60 pitches cruising versus a guy in the fifth inning who's pretty good, who's at 97 because you've been competing your ass off all day and fouling off good pitches. You got a shot. Okay, and that's extremely important. So, all right, round 4, plus counts. For those that don't know, plus count round for us is going to be 2-0, 3-1, and 3-2. So I shifted my approach on the 3-2 because of Monty Lee. Like, I don't know, a couple months ago, I saw some video on him, and he actually made a really good point about, us being so defensive in 3-2 counts when it's actually normally a favorable pitch for the guy hitting. So did shift my approach. So those are our plus counts. For our runners, we put them at second base for this, and this is going to be runner on second base less than 2 outs. Okay, so they're getting their reads, they're looking to score on barrels. They're automatic on ground balls to their left. They're trying to score on anything on the ground to their left. To their right, you're gonna have a shortstop and third baseman playing somewhere, so they're gonna get really good at kind of getting the feel for where they're at on line drives. On the infield, they're gonna vault back. We try to incorporate all those things there, which are key. And then let's see another point on that. So then our hitters, a lot of times I hear plus count rounds and people, get really bogged down into like, well, that's a free round. That's my let it rip round. And this is not a let it rip round. Okay. Some coaches, they believe this is a let it rip round, but, and you're only going to get 5 pitches. You're not going to get 5 swings here. But for our guys, what we do, and this is a kind of a pivot, this is something we actually recently started doing because I was like, I don't know that we're getting the most out of our plus count rounds. Because for me, plus count rounds should be all about pitch recognition, being on time and swinging at a pitch we can drive. That's really what that should look like. Okay. And, if you're just going up there swinging at 5 pitches off the pitching machine because it's a plus count round, you're not getting anything from that. So we tell our guys, hey, whatever that pitch looks like for you, okay, you got to lock in on that pitch in that zone. If the ball comes out of the machine and crosses the window it needs to cross to end up where you need to hit it, to barrel it, you just got to be on time. And it's been amazing how much better our plus count like in game has been because it's telling them, hey, if the situation doesn't dictate in a plus count for me to swing a pitch, on the outside corner, then don't swing at it. Now, if the situation dictates that, like got a runner on second base, no outs, 1 out, whatever, it's okay to let it, have that, drive that pitch on the outer half. But whatever that pitch looks like for you, like, let's get good at training our eyes on there's 9 windows that the ball can potentially go through based on his release point. What windows is my pitch going to go through? And when you do that in practice every day, you will be amazed at how much better your plus count ABs look when your dudes are up there because their takes will be better. Their success rate will be higher versus if you just let them go up there and let it rip for 5 swings. They're not learning anything there. They're not looking for anything. They're just assuming it's going to be a pitch somewhere. But the great thing about a pitching machine and the thing I love about those hack attacks is not every ball is going to be right there. So you're getting the velo and you're getting the normal, hey, every once in a while it's going to spike one. Every once in a while it's going to throw a riser. Every once in a while it's going to get in on the hands or get away. So on the plus count round, it's really good time for, okay, if my guy really is looking for something he can drive, and he loves a pitch middle in up, like I'm setting my eyesight, my hard focus on middle up. And if that ball crosses that window, I should smash it because now I'm only worried about being on time. That's it. And I already know the timing because I see the timing I've seen it, 3 rounds before this. So hopefully that makes sense. Lock in on a pitch, lock in on a zone, make sure it's a pitch you can drive and be on time. I tell our guys if we're going to miss in a plus count round, we should never be missing with flares left or right. If we miss, it should be that foul ball straight back. that means we were all over it. We were on time. We were just slightly under the plane or whatever. Those are the type misses that we want to have in plus count rounds. Okay. And then round 5, this is probably, probably one of the most important rounds for me as a coach, just because I think the game for me breaks down to really a few key things. And offensively, it's when you get 2 strikes, you got to compete your ass off. And then, when you got to get a guy at third base with less than 2 outs, you got to get him in. Okay. We can't strand guys at third base. And then defensively, it's, we got to get the first out of the inning. And then when we get 2 outs, we got to get off the field. That's kind of the 4 things for me that the game is like really boils down to. But so the round 5, get them in round. That's gonna be a runner on third base with less than 2 outs. Okay, this is a key round for your hitters and your runners. Okay, I mean I love this for our runners because you can do so many different things as far as the situation goes. You get them down there at third base, they're getting their good walk and lead, and they're going to be reading trajectory, right? They're reading trajectory off of the bat. And this is something that if you wait for them to get to third base in a game, they're never going to get good at it. But if you do it every day at practice, they're going to be great at it. And one thing about our guys at South this year, I thought we were just base runner wise was an A plus. But the things that we did really well is I don't think we got thrown out at home plate any. This year with a runner at third base and less than 2 outs because they just kind of knew, what good trajectory and what the ball looks like off the bat to know, like, okay, am I hanging out? Am I tagging? Am I gone? What am I doing? And if we didn't do that every day, they would have never got there. So, for us, we'll rotate it, maybe infield in here, middle back, corners up, whatever. And then that'll dictate to the hitter, what we're trying to do. Okay, so if the infield's in, we know we got to hit something through or hit something in the air to get them in. If the middle's back, we know, okay, we're good with hitting a ground ball to the shortstop, ground ball to the second baseman. Doesn't have to be sexy, but either way, we expect 100% from our guys. So it's a great round. I think again from a runner standpoint, we're not letting the play dictate where we're going. We're letting the trajectory of the ball off the bat dictate what we're doing. Hopefully that made sense. But, and what I mean by that is if I'm standing at third base, I can get really good at seeing downward trajectory, line drive trajectory, and fly ball trajectory. So, when I see down, okay, I know if the middle's back, I'm gone. If I see line drive, I know I'm probably vaulting back one to let the defense dictate what I'm going to do. And if I'm seeing upward trajectory, I'm back instantly. Okay. So you get really good at that because you see it. You think about if you got a group of 3, you got a group of 5 guys hitting or whatever, they're going to see 10, 15 pitches, balls off the bat, different trajectories throughout. So, and you do that all spring, all fall, then be really good at it. So, and I think I may have already said this, but 100% execution is what we're looking for. Because again, for me as a coach, for our coaching staff, getting dudes in at third base with less than 2 outs is non-negotiable. We want to do that better than anybody we play. Because if you do, you're probably going to win a lot of baseball games. So that's kind of where we're at there. We talk about, and that's going to wrap up the BP structure, but when you talk about structure of BP, we do majority of all this stuff off of fastballs. Okay. We were fortunate enough to have 2 hack attack machines when I was at South, and we'll eventually have 2 at Trinity. But any off-speed work we wanted to do, we just did it in the cage. And that was normally dependent on what we were facing this week. If we were going to face Surrogal from North Myrtle Beach, throws a wipeout left-handed slider, we'd work on the wipeout left-handed slider in the cage, work on hitting whatever his velo. We would always try to match velo and spin rate with whatever we were facing, because 87 at 1800 RPMs looks different than 87 at 22 RPMs for the hitter. And you'll notice, and this is just me being weird and focusing on the fine details, your hitters will tell you that looks different too. Comes out of the hand different. It moves differently from a vertical and horizontal standpoint. If you don't believe in that stuff, you need to start believing in it. if you want your dudes to be ahead of the curve as far as hitting goes. So all that information is readily available. Normally, not always available. Sometimes you have, man, this dude's lefties 87, 86, tops out at 90, whatever. You don't have spin rates, but man, the information for a lot of these really good elite pitchers that you're going to face is normally on the internet. So go get it. I keep a running spreadsheet of it every single year for the dudes that I know we're going to have to get through to win a state championship. And when we're going to face that guy, if he's 2,200 RPMs on the fastball, so it's a riser, I'm not going to be throwing, fastballs a horizontal sink on it, right? Because I want our guys seeing 22 RPMs off the pitching machine at that velo instead. So they're training their eyes for what that looks like and getting their timing on that and can focus on like, okay, well, he's high spin rate. We might have to hit top part of the ball for some of these guys. I mean, those are the things that we have to do as hitting coaches and coaches to put our guys in a situation to be successful. So if you're not doing, I'm not saying you're doing it wrong. I'm just saying, you're like, golly, man, we hit 87 on the machine all week, and then we struck out 19 times or popped up 15 times or whatever. Well, you had the right idea. There was just an extra piece of it that you needed to try to incorporate. So, again, not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it works for us, and I think our results have kind of spoken for themselves with what our guys have done. Now, and that's them executing. I'm just saying I have to believe that some of what we did in practice contributed to that. So, that's that. So, as a recap, again, everything was it's all about, hey, how do we make it we centric? How do we put our guys' focus in practice daily on the things that win baseball games, right? Not the things that help their stats. Indirectly, it all helps their stats, but directly, that can't be the focus of what we're doing, right? It can't be the focus of what mom and dad are, they're sitting over there, runner on third base, less than 2 outs. They got the video camera out looking for something to tweet out. Like, I actually want to challenge some of these parents, like, and not just parents, but even other people. Like, I want somebody to throw a tweet out there of their kid going 1 for 4. Okay. I went 1 for 4 today, right? With 2 hard lineouts, an RBI, 6-3, and a base hit. You always see the base hit. You don't see the other things. But I would argue if I was a college coach that I would learn more from your kid in the videos of him getting out than I do from the video of him getting on. And what I mean by that is, I wish we would see, you see went 2 for 3 with a double, okay, but the base running was trash on the double, right? He hit the bag with his right foot. The turn was weak. He had a single to left, and he dogged it down the line. Like, I would like to see players put more of an emphasis on those other things, I think it would help them because I think college coaches look at it and say, okay, this dude takes care of the small things. Like, he's not just a results-oriented guy. Like, he's if I stick with the process, good things are going to happen kind of guy. So, anyways, I got off on a tangent there, but I would like to see that more often. I know nobody's going to do it because they think getting out and posting 1 for 4 looks bad, but my opinion on that is post all 4 at bats, okay? The hit, the strikeout, the whatever, because somebody's going to learn something from you. Like, you might, in your worst moments, somebody might pick up on something they really love. I know for me, just watching other guys play, I pick up on a lot of things and I'm like, I know he's not happy about what just happened there, but I freaking love that. And I'm not a college coach, but if I was, I would recruit the guys that do everything, the small things right, even when the box score's not necessarily in their favor. So, anyways, as it just got off on a tangent there, but final just notes and thoughts on the things we talked about today, because again, our whole goal here was to build better hitters. When you get into your fall practice, coaches, consider utilizing these things. If you don't have a pitching machine, consider getting one. It's not fundraising standpoint. It's not hard to do. For $2,600 plus some shipping, unless you know somebody, you might get it without shipping. You can get a junior hack attack. $2,500. I think you can get the spin ball junior. I mean, you're talking about a $3,000 investment normally. That the fall is a great time to go ahead and pull those things out and get going. Start implementing the round structure. Like if you find yourself just like, all right, 3 rounds of 5 and getting out of there, like, and you're not getting the results you want, do this. It's what we did, and it's worked. And I just think, the big thing, the big benefit for our kids has been they've been able to shift off of me and focus on we. And when you got guys celebrating hitting a six hopper to the shortstop because they got a dude in from third base, you're finally figuring it out, right? So that's all I got there. If you got any questions on how we do things, practice planning, stuff like that, what we do to prepare our guys for games, whatever, feel free to shoot me a DM, call me, email me, whatever's easiest. I'd love to talk, love talking baseball with people that, want to learn more. And I'm always looking for things to learn too. So, there might be something you guys listen to and you're like, hey, you said this. Had you ever thought about doing it this way? Blah, blah. I love that dialogue. So if you pick up a pearl from this, let me know. If you think there's something I need to add to it, let me know. Okay. Because at the end of the day, it's not about who's right or wrong. It's just like, how can we put our kids in a better situation to accomplish the things they want to accomplish? And this is the way we can do it as coaches. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to share information. Andy Hallett's won like 6 state championships, and the guy will be the first to tell you, like, there's anything that I do that you want to know about, tell me. I'm not one of those guys who just sits on it. Like, I think the problem is most people assume that, well, it gives you a competitive edge by knowing that, or it doesn't. Guys still got to go execute. So I think as coaches, we probably could do a better job of sharing some stuff like that. But you also got to be willing to ask, because nobody wants to be that guy who's like, hey, I know everything. And, I'm kind of like going on a limb here, throwing this stuff out here because it's not done enough. Like, we've got great coaches in our state. I wish more guys would kind of like be vulnerable, jump out on a limb, share their information via platforms like this, because I think we would just do our kids so much better if we did. So do it. Share information. It's at the end of the day, it's only going to help the kids. So that's all I got for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. Next week we might go base running or we might go outfield play. I haven't decided yet. I'm hoping to release a formal schedule at some point soon. That way you kind of know what to expect. But thank you for joining us as always. Again, your likes, your comments, your subscriptions, your thumbs up, sharing this with a friend, all that stuff helps. Every retweet, every visit to the website, every visit to our Facebook page helps. If there's anything I can help you with, let me know. But thank you for your continued support as we go into season 2. I had no idea 30-something episodes ago that we would get to this point, but here we are. So thank you to everybody who tunes in and listens. Thank you to everybody who's out there committed to these kids and committed to help them accomplish all they want to accomplish. Until next time, be cool and go Titans. I'll see ya.